Two explosive talents, two relentless competitors, and together they formed a problem Luka had never faced before. For the first time, Luka wasn't just battling rivals, he was facing a partnership, a two-headed dragon. Early in the game, Luka attacked the basket with authority, but Louis Suarez wasn't giving anything away. He met Luka at the rim and sent a message with a hard foul that echoed through the gym. Tempers flared for a moment, but Braden Exum stepped in quickly. He pulled Luis to the side, reminding him to stay calm, stay focused, and let their game do the talking. And from there, Luis got to work, knocking down a jumper, crashing the glass, swatting shots, and finishing above the rim with authority. Two thunderous dunks, each one sending a message to Luka and the entire gym. The chemistry started to show. Luis found Exum cutting to the rim, and Braden hammered it down. Moments later, Exum stepped back, knocked down a step back three, driving through traffic, finishing with a tough layup. Man, he was out there doing a little bit of everything. For long stretches, the game belonged to them. Exum with his explosiveness, Suarez with the relentless scoring. Possession after possession, the duo looked unstoppable. The two-headed dragon was breathing fire. But Luka wasn't ready to surrender. Not in that moment. He began attacking the rim with force. One play turned into another turned into momentum, and suddenly, Luka wasn't just competing. He was taking control of the entire game. Despite the combined firepower of Luis Suarez and Brandon Exum, despite facing the two-headed dragon, Luka Navarro found a way, dominating on both ends of the floor, doing whatever his team needed. And when the final buzzer sounded, it was Luka walking away with the victory. A win that proved something important to everyone watching. No matter the challenge, Luka Navarro could rise above it. After proving himself against some of the best young talent in the world, Luka Navarro's journey was about to take him somewhere special. Home. The next chapter of his career would unfold in the city where his story first began, Barcelona. The young phenom will now suit up for FC Barcelona Basket. For Luka, this wasn't just another opportunity. But before he could even play his first full stretch of games, whispers began circulating around the league. Rumors that the young star had grown again. Some scouts swore he was now 6'11", other claims he was even taller than 7 feet. Whatever the exact number was, one thing was clear. Luka wasn't just getting better, he was getting bigger, stronger, and more dangerous. His length turned the paint into a no-fly zone. At nearly 7 feet tall, defenders tried to back off, but Luka punished them with a smooth jumper. Crowds across the league began to realize something. They weren't just watching a rising star, they were watching the arrival of a dominant force. The fans and scouts alike were amazed at how he moved like a guard, explosive, fluid, unstoppable in transition. Defensively, he became a nightmare. He was basically impossible to stop at the rim. Night after night, arena after arena, Luka Navarro controlled the game in every way possible. He became a nightmare for opposing offenses, protecting the rim, erasing mistakes from his teammates. Rebounds turned into fast breaks turned into highlights. As the season rolled on, something unusual started happening around the league. Opposing teams weren't just preparing for Barcelona anymore, they were preparing for Luka. Entire defensive game plans were built around slowing him down. Double teams came earlier, rotations came faster, defenders tried everything, size, speed, physicality, but night after night, it didn't seem to matter. Because when the clock started ticking down, the ball inevitably found its way into Luka's hands. And more often than not, something incredible followed. Step-back jumpers in tight games, momentum-shifting defensive stops, game-changing plays that completely flipped the energy of the arena. What made it even more impressive was how quickly he became the heartbeat of the team. Veterans started trusting him, teammates fed off his confidence, and the crowd responded every time he touched the ball. The noise inside those arenas started to sound different. Not just cheers, but anticipation. Fans rising out of their seats the moment Luka crossed half court, waiting to see what he would do. By this point in the season, the conversation had already changed. People weren't just asking if Luka was already special anymore. They were asking just how special could he become. Scouts traveled across Europe to see him play. Executives whispered about his future, and the analysts debated whether they were witnessing the beginning of the next global basketball superstar. But through all the attention, all the highlights, all the rising hype, Luka Navarro stayed locked in because he understood something most players don't. Great moments create hype, but great seasons create legends. Dominating throughout the season on defense, Luka actually ended up being named Defensive Player of the Year. Against elite competition in Liga ACB, Luka had taken the league by storm and had officially been named Best Player in the league. With the regular season behind them, a new challenge awaited: the Euro Cup basketball tournament, a stage where only the toughest teams survive and where legacies could be written in a matter of weeks. From the opening game, Luka Navarro made it clear that Barcelona had arrived ready for battle. He attacked relentlessly, controlling the pace of the game and forcing defenses into impossible decisions. If they collapsed on him, he found open teammates. If they stayed home, he punished them himself. Game after game, Luka delivered. Powerful finishes at the rim, clutch jump shots under pressure, and defensive plays that completely swung momentum in Barcelona's favor. In the quarterfinals, his presence on defense shut down an entire offense. But the quarterfinals brought something entirely different: a rivalry that runs deeper than basketball. Centered across from Barcelona was Real Madrid. Whenever Barcelona and Real Madrid meet, the atmosphere changes. Every possession feels heavier, every play carries history. And Luka stepped directly into the fire. Madrid threw everything at him: bigger defenders, physical double teams, constant pressure. But Luka responded the way stars do: power finishes, momentum shifting defensive stops, a clutch block late in the game that completely silenced the Madrid crowd. After surviving the emotional battle against Real Madrid, Barcelona moved on to the semifinals of the Euro Cup basketball tournament. But behind the scenes, something was happening. Something wasn't right. Just hours before the tip-off, Luka had began feeling the effects of a sudden illness. A viral infection had drained his energy, leaving him fighting through fatigue and dehydration. For a player whose game relied on explosiveness and endurance, it could have been the worst possible timing. Some wondered if he would even be able to play heavy minutes, but Luka never seriously considered sitting out. This was the semifinals, and Barcelona needed their leader. From the moment the ball went up, you could see Luka pushing himself although he wasn't feeling well. He wasn't flying around the court like usual, but his basketball instincts took over. Instead of forcing the game, he controlled it. Smart passes, strong positioning, reading the floor 2 steps ahead of everyone else. When his teammates needed a bucket, Luka delivered with smooth jump shots and patient attacks on the rim. Even while battling the illness, his presence defensively remained enormous. Opponents hesitated before entering the paint, knowing Luka's length could still erase their shot at any moment. But perhaps the most important thing Luka brought to that night was leadership, encouraging teammates, directing the defense, keeping the energy alive when his body was clearly fighting against him. It wasn't Luka's flashiest performance of the tournament, but it may have been his toughest. Playing through illness, refusing to quit, and leading his team 1 step closer to the championship. After fighting through early rounds, surviving a rivalry against Real Madrid, and pushing through illness in the semifinals, only one challenge remained: the championship game. One final night to determine who would leave as champions. Who would leave wondering what could have been. From the opening possession, Luka played with a calm confidence that had defined his entire season. He controlled the tempo early, grabbing boards, initiating fast breaks, and putting pressure on the defense before they could even get set. Rather than forcing shots, Luka dissected the defense. Sharp passes to open shooters, perfect timing on cuts to the rim. Every possession seemed to flow through him. Then came the scoring, driving through defenders, finishing through contact, and reminding everyone watching when Luka attacked the basket, stopping him was easier said than done. With the game all but secured, Luka shared a moment with one of his veteran teammates. The two exchanged shouts and celebration, adrenaline pouring out after weeks of intense competition. And then the clock hit zero. The bench exploded, players rushed onto the floor, coaches embraced, and the arena erupted as FC Barcelona Basket officially became Euro Cup champions. And at the center of it all, Luka Navarro.